Krishna, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Rama Rama, Krishna, 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 Hare. We'll be starting in 5 minutes. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Now, it seems like we have a problem with the video. Why did that happen? Maybe that doesn't. All right, if anyone can hear me, please send something on the chat. And I know you're there. All right. We're going to do something with that video. Don't like to do it like that, but says change the settings for the video. All right. In any case, we can go ahead without the video. Sound vibration is the main thing. Now, usually what we do is we listen to Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami, chant the invocation, the Mangalacharana, the auspicious prayers, which invoke auspiciousness to create the most conducive atmosphere for sharing, discussing transcendental knowledge. I will be going back and forth between Zoom and Restream, just to see if there's any questions or comments, or we'd like to make this even more interactive and conversational, so to speak. So I'm eager to have any comments or questions or points of discussion. Instead of doing what we usually do, I'm going to read the English translations of what we hear normally, because it's completely auspicious to hear the sound of the pure devotees' prayers. Same time, the mind can go anywhere and everywhere, which it does. And if we hear the translation, we know the actual meanings, then it will help us to deepen our meditation. So it starts with Om Gyan Timaranda Shya, and I'll read the translation of all the prayers without saying the Sanskrit. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world a mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother, Sanatana Goswami, as well as Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates, Sri Lalita and Vishaka. So please give me a heads up if you're present. So we'd like to make it more interactive and conversational. We got some chat there. Chat overlay. Yes, thank you, Howard. I'm still not completely expert with the technology, so bear with me. Sounds like you can hear me, Howard. Great. Anyone else? Anyone else ready to jump in and make yourselves known? Howard, would you tell me if you can see me? It seems like you can hear me, but can you see me? Let me know if you can see me, Howard. So we'll continue. Oh, my dear friend, dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavan. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. I offer my obeisances to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas Harigaur Bhaktivinoda, and all others in the line of devotion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. No, you just see my name. I briefly saw your face earlier. Okay, well, there's probably something I could go back and do. I just don't want to risk. Well, hang on. What's happening? Oh, now, can you see me now? I'm on the restream video. Now that may be overridden by the Zoom. That's strange. No, you can't see me now. Okay, so there's some overlap, and Zoom is. So if I stop the video here, how do I do that? Oh, it's a different background. Okay, how can I stop the video here? Disable camera. Now what happens now? If I go to Zoom and enable the camera. Nope, still not working. Anyway, you can hear me, so we'll just go like that. I'm not going to risk disabling the whole thing by trying to change it. At least we have the sound vibration. So now, so we can have a whole discussion on the translation of these prayers. We're not going to do that today. I'm just going to go straight into the verse, which is chapter 2, verse 10. We had a lady here from Whangarei in New Zealand who was going to join us. Nuraya is her name. Are you with us, Nuraya? Don't think so. No. Okay. Yeah, a lot of delay here. Not working very well, is it? Okay, we're getting all kinds of okay, let's stick with Zoom and go for it. Sorry for these delays. Yeah, chapter 2, entitled Contents of the Gita Summarized, text number 10. I'll read the Sanskrit myself, then we can do the word meanings, translation and purport. Tam uvacha hrishikesha prahasan eva bharata senayor ubayor madhye vishidantam imam vacha. Tam, unto him. Uvacha, said. Rishikesha, the master of the senses, Krishna. Prasan, smiling. Eva, like that. Bharata, O Dhritarashtra, descendant of Bharat. Senayo, of the armies. Ubayo, of both parties. Madhye, between. Vishidantam, unto the lamenting one. Idam, the following. Vacha, words. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. Please repeat after me. I won't be able to hear you, but I'll leave space for you to say it yourself. Please repeat. O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. Purport. The talk was going on between intimate friends, namely the Hrishikesha and the Gudakesha. Hrishikesha is the master of the senses, and Gudakesha is another name for Arjuna, which Krishna used for him, meaning the conqueror of sleep. As friends, both of them were on the same level, but one of them voluntarily became a student of the other. Krishna was smiling because a friend had chosen to become a disciple. As Lord of all, he, Krishna, is always in the superior position as the master of everyone, and yet the Lord accepts one who wishes to be a friend, a son, a lover, or a devotee, or who wants him in such a role. But when he was accepted as the master, he at once assumed the role and talked with the disciple like the master, with gravity, as it is required. It appears that the talk between the master and the disciple was openly exchanged in the presence of both armies, so that all were benefited. So the talks of Bhagavad-gita are not for any particular person, society, or community, but they are for all. And friends or enemies are equally entitled to hear them. Okay. So, Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatadi Satarni Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mukham karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam. By the mercy of the spiritual master, a lame man can cross over mountains, and a dumb man can compose eloquent poetry. So if anyone else is there, please. No video. Theology Unleashed. No, Arjun. Can you hear me? How do I don't want to interrupt the class significantly, but if you can tell me how to get the video back on, I thought I'd had it done in the right succession, in the right order. Getting Zoom all set up, but I didn't have the video on before I started Restream, so maybe that's what. Anything I can reverse now in order to do that? I just want to get on with the class. Prabhupada starts out explaining that Arjuna and Krishna were acting on the same level as friends. Both of them were on the same level, but one of them, Prabhupada says, voluntarily became a student of the other. Now, there's a progression here, because Arjuna started out as a peer with Krishna, and as in that position, he was arguing with Krishna. So he was considering his position, his opinions, his arguments as good as or better than Krishna's. They were like equals. And yet, when Arjuna realized that in spite of all his good arguments, he was overwhelmed, he was bewildered, he was grief-stricken, he was physically affected, weak. He couldn't even stand up. He couldn't hold his bow. He couldn't even stand up. He sat down on the chariot. So that if we appreciate how our position, it's really important that we see how our position is exactly that of Arjuna. And that's a primary or a fundamental understanding in order to really get what's going on with Bhagavad-gita, what's happening in Bhagavad-gita. Because if we identify ourselves almost as if we're Arjuna, that we're struggling in this world, we have come from the point of thinking that we know everything, we can decide exactly what to do in our lives, we can control everything, and we can adjust things so that we will be successful in achieving happiness, peace of mind, freedom. These are things that we all want. Peacefulness, happiness, freedom. Why do we want these things? Because it is the nature of the soul to want these things. These are qualities of our very being. And yet, material life, living in the material world, means we have forgotten all of that. And we're struggling independently. We're struggling as if we are the controllers, as if we are the enjoyers, as if we can decide, as if we're free. And the reality is, we're not any of those. We're not masters. the laws of nature are masters of us. We can't even say no if we have to go to the toilet or to the dentist. Sometimes we feel wonderful. Sometimes we feel terrible. We're so much affected by the mind. And so as we become aware of that, and we start asking the basic question, which is primary question in becoming a real human being, is that I'm suffering, but I don't want to suffer. Why do I have to suffer? It's contrary to our very nature. People are struggling to become happy because suffering is not our real position. And yet in this false position in this world, the conditioned state, the illusion state, we are thinking that we can adjust things here in a foreign atmosphere. This material world is completely foreign to us. And because we are attached to controlling and enjoying separately from God, we have accepted the illusion that we can do that. If you close Restream, then you should be able to select your camera and zoom. If I close Restream, okay, close it. Close it, okay. Thank you, Arjun. I'll try it. Just hope I don't lose anyone. Exit the browser. Exit, or you mean close the browser window? Is that what you mean? Close it? When you say exit, I can go to another window, but do you mean close it? I'm not sure what you mean. Yes, okay, I'll close it. Bang. Boom-bitty bang bang. Now see what happens. Now can you see me? Let me get the video on Zoom. All right, now can you see me? I don't know if I can see your comments. I had one person sharing comments on Restream, but I don't think I can access that now. So now all right, so assuming you can see me. Problem is I can't relate with those on the Krishna Katha YouTube or Facebook pages. What to do? Does that mean I should start Restream all over again? No, I see I'm taking time from the class. I don't want to do that. Going back to, okay. Is that okay? Now, can you see me now? Hang on. Doing something else. Understood it without camera. Good. Okay. Going back. All right, back again. Someone please tell me if you can hear me and see me. Okay, where's chat? Chat. This is funny. Good now. Okay. Thank you. Howard, I hope you're still with us, tolerating all this stuff. Thank you, Arjun. Okay, so Arjuna, the progression is that Arjuna was acting as a peer of Krishna, right? Now, we have some inside knowledge. We know that he actually is an eternal peer of Krishna. But so his progression is different from ours. It's backwards in a sense. He had that relationship, although in a sense, we also had it in the spiritual world. So Arjun's so-called falling down isn't falling down. It's a setup it's a pastime for that Krishna and Arjuna have arranged. Ours is a little bit different. Ours was a complete fall down. So it took Arjuna about 45 minutes to hear the whole basic explanation from Krishna and turn it around and just surrender. It's taken us 45 millions of lifetimes, maybe, if we're there at all. But so there's a distinction at the same time. If we relate as if we are Arjuna ourselves completely, having that inside knowledge, and take the lesson that Krishna and Arjuna are offering us. That yes, I am suffering. I on my own, I may be very capable, very powerful, and if I use those powers and capabilities in connection with the divine, they become divine also. The one who is fully surrendered, they become like the puppet. And that's not the best metaphor in this regard, because one becomes like the hand or the extension, or the representative is the actual word, representing the same thing. And the surrendered soul becomes like God, in that he or she has the same qualities and is manifesting them in service of the Supreme. That's what it means when we sing Shakshad Hari Tvayanashamasta Shastra. The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because of his being the most confidential servitor of the Lord. He's so intimately united with Krishna that he manifests all the qualities and potencies of Krishna as much as is needed for the service. He's not doing it independently. He's not doing it for himself. He's doing it completely selflessly. So yeah, we identify as Arjuna, then we can learn very quickly. We can, as long as the more we accept that we are not the masters, that we have been struggling for countless lifetimes and we haven't been successful. And we come to the point, actually, it's not working and it's not going to work. We may have attachment, that's okay. It is a gradual process, but at least we understand that. We may adjust our speed or our level of surrender, our doubts. We may adjust accordingly, but we don't compromise or change the basic philosophy. And that's the next thing that Krishna is going to do. So Arjuna, he said he's not going to fight. That's what he's just said. And before that, he says, Krishna, please instruct me. I'm bewildered. I'm bewildered. After all his arguments, that's his conclusion. He says now, and this is just 3 verses before, text 7. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. So that should be our prayer to Krishna. Please, Krishna, in my conditioned state, I'm confused. I don't know everything. I get bewildered. I'm lost. I'm suffering. I've lost all composure because of weakness. This is our position. We don't like to admit it, and we don't always feel that way, but the feeling's coming and going. It's not stable. It's not certain. It's not lasting. It's not eternal. And yet the soul itself is certain. It's clear. It's not confused. It's fully composed. It's constantly clear, sure, free, powerful, satisfied. That is not our condition here now. We're not always clear, free, satisfied, happy, powerful, confident. In fact, a lot of the time we're whatever, it's relative. Point is that it's not lasting, it's not permanent. And as Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita himself, we need to distinguish between that the temporary reality and the eternal reality. The verse in Bhagavad-gita is those who are seers of the truth declare that of the temporary there is no endurance. In other words, what is temporary, it doesn't continue, and it's changing all the time. But of the eternal, there is no cessation. So what is spiritual, what is eternal, and what is our real nature? It doesn't change, it doesn't stop, it's always steady. That's one description of the soul, kutastha. That's one word used to describe the soul. The soul is kutastha, it's steady. It's not up and down. And that's one of the results we achieve the more we surrender in our chanting, the more we are engaged in service, in the mood of wanting to know what Prabhupada and Krishna want, and acting accordingly, and therefore minimizing gradually the tendency to do things for ourselves, which is what our constant consciousness in this world. Okay, now, please, Howard or anyone else, please put in comments or questions. I'm here now. I think you can see me. And I was saying about the distinguishing between reality and illusion. Vyasadeva spoke the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam that the highest truth, Vyasadeva said, the highest truth is distinguishing reality from illusion for the welfare of all. So that primary, essential understanding and awareness that here is matter and here is something completely different. Here is spirit. So the more we distinguish them, the more we become free. And this isn't just talking, this is applying. Bhakti yoga means action. Favorable action, engaging in service that is favorable to Krishna. So that basic distinguishing, making that difference completely clear. That I have a body, but I'm not my body. I have a mind, but I'm not my mind. I have feelings and thoughts, but I'm not my feelings and thoughts. Then who am I? As Sanatana Goswami said, people call me Pandit when he first met Lord Chaitanya. People call me Pandit, wise man, and in some ways I am. But I don't know who I really am. And I don't know why I'm suffering. So, Narai, are you with us? Maybe not. All right, anyway, no problem. All right. So, to bring it into, because we can talk about it, we give class, we have class like this, and yet we have to take it into action. Are we giving more energy, more focus, more attention to our chanting, our study? I mean, hearing from class, it's perfect. At the same time, we want to take it into our lives. And that should be the point of our classes, to find ways to improve my application of what I'm hearing. And that's why it's so valuable to ask questions. And maybe you don't have questions. That's fine too. I'm going to just enter something here in the chat. Make sure you know I'm here. You're hearing me, but just for fun. Okay, Hare Krishna. I'm inviting and welcoming all questions. And sometimes at a distance like this, it's difficult to, it may be sensitive to ask about certain challenges in our lives or to talk about it, but my point is I'm welcoming you to do that. And because if we want to support each other, in our spiritual advancement to get out of the material illusion as soon as possible. So so we talked about the progression, and after Arjuna has argued, he's come to the point of realizing that his arguing doesn't make any difference in terms of his experience. It may be valid in we have so many good arguments and so many reasons why we should continue as we have been. But that doesn't make us happy. And Arjuna's come to the point of realizing that none of his arguments are making any difference. In fact, he's getting more overwhelmed, more confused. He's sitting down in the chariot and giving up. So giving up on material life is a good idea. Now that could be scary, because if I just give up, I lose. I don't have anything. I might as well commit suicide. I mean, that's extreme, but many people do it. They give up. So giving up is horrible. And except in surrendering to Krishna, there is a transcendental giving up. Surrender means giving up transcendentally, based on knowledge that I'm an eternal soul. I have nothing to do with this material world. In fact, as Prabhupada said, someone may say, I'm renounced, or I'm giving up material life, but then who's in charge in the first place? Prabhupada, if I go into the ANZ Bank and say, I'm taking the spiritual life completely, and I'm renouncing the ANZ Bank. I'm giving up. Did I ever own or control the ANZ Bank? No. So how can I renounce it? So that's a nice angle on understanding what renunciation is. Renunciation means admitting that Krishna has been in charge the whole time. That's another angle. We could put it like that. So Arjuna's given up. And we don't want to give up, because then we have nothing to hold on to. So therefore, Bhakti Yoga is a natural progression, in that we as we get the higher taste, then we can give up the lower taste. First, and Krishna says that, attraction for sense objects may remain, but experiencing a higher taste, one becomes fixed in consciousness. Vishaya avinivartante. We can give up the lower if we have the higher. The artificial renunciation, it doesn't work. That's what the impersonalists do. They imagine themselves transcendental. It's all, they have this mental creation. And therefore, even though they go to the Brahmacharya, even they rise to the highest spiritual level they can achieve, which is the impersonal, merging into Krishna's effulgence, even though they don't actually merge, they remain spiritual sparks, but they enter into that blinding effulgence as if they have become God, but they only get to the effulgence. They don't even get to the Paramatma. So we don't do that. We don't make up some level or some experience of liberation. No, we experience liberation. We experience freedom. We chant, and we offer our food, and we engage in service, and we hear Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. We read, discuss, share with other people. That's especially important. Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita. It's the 18th chapter. There is there will never be, there is no one more dear to me than he who teaches this science of Bhagavad-gita. Basically gives Krishna consciousness according to our level of realization and the other person's level of realization. Krishna says that the person who does that is most dear to me. And he says, and there will never be one more dear to me than he. So Krishna's giving a little hint, a big hint, how we can advance even more quickly if we find ways to give Krishna consciousness to others. Obviously, we have to be applying it, struggling ourselves to make it better. So then we give, Arjuna's given up, which seems scary, but when we give up, the more we give up material life, Prabhupada said, the more we kick out this hippie philosophy, just do whatever you want. If it feels good, do it, which is pretty much what the impersonalists do on a different way. I've tried to compete with God in all these ways, like that, but now I will become God. And Prabhupada almost makes a joke of it. He says that Mother Yasoda, she was tying up baby Krishna in the Damodar Leela. Krishna was acting naughtily. He was upset that his mother had put him down to stop the milk from boiling over on the stove, and he became angry because he thought she should just let him suck her breast. So he went and he broke the pot that his mother was using to churn butter, and then ran away, knowing that he was. So Krishna, then Mother Yasoda chased him until finally he allowed her. So Mother Yasoda is tying up the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada said, so the impersonalists, they want to become God, but the devotee can become greater than God. She can tie him up with ropes. And or Arjuna is Krishna accepted the position as chariot driver for Arjuna. So Krishna was accepting the orders and instructions of Arjuna. Go this way, go that way, slow down, go faster. Becoming the servant. So Arjuna had become greater than God. He's telling God what to do. So a devotee can become greater than God in kind of a tongue-in-cheek way. So that giving up, which is scary and leads to the worst thing, like suicide for materialists, when Krishna is added, it becomes the most valuable thing. The mundane is the perverted reflection, the backwards appearance or reflection of, just like the tree on the land in the normal condition has its branches upward and the roots downward. Look in the reflection, the pool, the river, the lake next to it, you see the branches going upwards. Usually you see the branches pointing upwards and branches pointing downwards and the roots upwards. So that reflection is metaphorically the same as what we see here. Everything here is backwards. So giving up is terrifying here, but giving up to Krishna is the real reflection. And Prabhupada gives the example of the in the mouth of the mother of the cat, the rat is feeling one thing and the kitten is experiencing another. So same mouth, same jaws, same sharp teeth. The rat is experiencing terror because that's death for him, for the rat. But the kitten is feeling safety and security, protection, shelter, in the same mouth, in the same jaws with sharp teeth. Same. So in the grip of Krishna, a devotee feels completely sheltered, completely safe, secure, comfortable, free, finally. But the materialist in the jaws of Krishna, under the control of Krishna, means death, sooner or later. And it's always there. People don't just ignore it and cover it over, but people are fear and terror is underneath it all. Even the greatest billionaire who's got some good karma, it has complete illusion, doesn't even think about death. And yet, when it comes, that's it. Even Hiranyakashipu, when he heard the sound of Lord Nrsingadev's universe cracking, shaking, roar, even before Lord Nrsingadev came out of the pillar, terrified. It was beyond his comprehension. What was this sound? Beyond. So he still foolishly thought he maintained his the crazy attitude that he could do something about it, that his death was not imminent. So any other chats? Okay, here we are. Thank you. Who is this? Oh, Amyatma Prabhu. Thank you. When the mind takes over, the knowledge of Krishna consciousness becomes more like theory. Yes. Arjuna had Krishna there personally when his mind took over. Sometimes we feel lost because we don't have Krishna so accessible, seemingly. Thank you. Awesome. Great point. Yeah. So, yeah. The materialist, or the one who doesn't accept Krishna, doesn't surrender to Krishna, is lost. And it just remains theory at best. But because Arjuna had Krishna there personally, when his mind took over, it was completely different. Yes, and we think, like you say, seemingly we don't have Krishna so accessible, and that's part of the illusion, that we've convinced ourselves, oh, I'm so fallen, or I'm so unqualified, or all this mental adjustments. Therefore, I almost avoid Krishna by making these kind of subtle excuses. Mine is Mahavishnu Swami, the Gujarati Swami. He said, if we understood or could realize the complexity and the power of the mind, we would be shocked. Forget which word we'd be bewildered. So Prabhu, please offer more. Thank you so much for that very valuable point. So we think we don't have Krishna accessible, and yet he's there all the time. He's our best friend. He's waiting for us to turn to him. And so to practice, to apply the principles of Bhagavad-gita in our lives means to feel Krishna's presence, his accessibility, his presence more and more and more, and appreciate that. Oh, Krishna, you're my friend. You're there. And if I give up, I let the mind do whatever it's going to do, but bring constantly yato nischalati. From wherever and whatever the mind may wander to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and place it back under the control of the self. Capital S, under the control of the Supreme Personality of God, in his form as sound. Krishna's come incarnated as his holy names. There's full shelter there, and the 10th offense is to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name. So that's we don't have that faith, but the more we chant, The more we chant, we experience that presence. And Atmiyama Prabhu responds, I was also referring to Krishna being physically, so-called physically on the battlefield. There seems like a huge difference between us and Arjuna in that regard. Yes, completely. And for me, I can relate to that by remembering the time when I had the so-called physical presence of Srila Prabhupada in my life. When I was in his presence, I should say. Huge difference. Because of my conditioning, I think now that he's not with me. Because in my conditioned state, I take the physical or the external, the physical manifestation as more important. That's my lack of realization. That's my lack of advancement and purity. Part of my understanding of why many of Srila Prabhupada's directly initiated disciples have gone away or minimized their Krishna consciousness, because that is such a huge difference. At the same time, as I said before, even though we experience that difference and we see how we are adjusting accordingly, we never minimize the clear principles of philosophy. Prabhupada says that the philosophy is the understanding of Krishna consciousness in this regard, as Prabhupada says that people may say, well, like you're saying, Amyala Prabhu, that Arjuna was in the so-called physical presence of Krishna, but Krishna's not here now. And Prabhupada makes it very clear that if we study Bhagavad-gita as it is, from the disciplic, according to the disciplic succession, we are with Krishna directly, because Krishna is that sound vibration. Now, we may not realize that, we may gradually come to that, but we don't change that fact. Otherwise, our goal becomes different. We change the philosophy, bang. We change the words, or we interpret the words of the pure devotee or Krishna, Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, then we're lost. Because again, we're taking shelter of our own understanding, our own approach, our own imperfect, flawed abilities. All right. So any other points or questions? There's so much here in this in this verse and purport. And Prabhupada talks about how, well, it says in the verse that Krishna smiling. Very, very interesting. Krishna is smiling. And why is he smiling? O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna smiling. Why was Krishna smiling? Arjuna is there just obliterated in his consciousness. He can't even stand up. He can't hold his bow. He's given up. He said, I won't fight Krishna, even though Krishna wants him to fight. Why is Krishna smiling in this situation? And Prabhupada says it very clearly. Krishna was smiling because a friend had chosen to become a disciple. Now, why is Krishna happy about that? In a sense, seeing Arjuna suffering so much. Because the result of Arjuna's suffering is that he surrenders. He is voluntarily. He has made his free individual choice. And that's the mood we want to develop. That not begrudgingly, oh, I'm suffering so much in Krishna consciousness, so I chant, oh, I'll feel better, and I know it works. We have a friend up here who has some mental challenges and actually takes some regular medication. He said I chant regular. He chants. He's committed to chanting 9 rounds a day. And he says, I chant because it keeps me well. It's like my real medication. He takes medications, but only when he chants is he peaceful and happy? He said that. So chanting keeps me well. It's sounding. So why is Krishna smiling? Because he knows what the best interest of Arjuna, and Arjuna representing us, and we being the same as Arjuna in terms of our forgetfulness, our conditioning, our suffering. We're the same as Arjuna. When we surrender, Krishna's happy because he knows our real interest. He has our best interest at heart. And just a few verses ago, one purport, Prabhupada says that compassion for the individual soul, the eternal soul, is self-realization. So when I read that, when I remember that, I think, well, Krishna is the most compassionate. He's not happy that Arjuna is suffering, and yet he knows that Arjuna is coming to the point of being free from his suffering, his illusion, his bewilderment, because he is asking Krishna to advise him. He's, as I read just a few minutes before, just a few verses ago in 7. Now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I'm asking to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So Krishna is very happy when we develop that mood. Krishna, not only please instruct me, but I have no other shelter. I have no other alternative. I have no other possibility. So therefore, we have so many books that Prabhupada has given us. We have the whole Bhagavad-gita. We've got the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, what to speak of all the Prabhupada's lectures. All these words are offering us instruction, the way out, the alternatives. So the more we develop this mood, Krishna, I'm bewildered, I'm lost. Please, please, please accept me as your student. This is the mood as one approaches a spiritual master. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has opened my eyes to the torchlight of knowledge. So we must find someone who can open our eyes and who inspires us and encourages, and we feel their care. Krishna, the compassion for the eternal soul is self-realization. So the most advanced self-realized people, they're naturally compassionate on our conditioned state, in our conditioned state. They care about us, and religion has gotten such a bad name because in the name of religion, people are speaking these high principles. Whether it's Christianity or Krishna consciousness, people are speaking very nice words, but the care, the love, the compassion isn't there. They don't have knowledge of the eternal soul. They can't care about it. So that's why the Bhagavad-gita, basic education, Krishna conscious education, is the most important thing. Therefore, where Prabhupada stressed so much, distribute my books, distribute my books, distribute my books. What will your 10, 20, 30-minute lecture do? Not that we shouldn't speak, we should speak, but make sure people get Prabhupada's books. And there's, when Amiya Prabhu was here in Pangarai, staying at our place here, he went out on door to door, and there's a man next door named Neil. You probably remember. He took a Gita. I finally went to see him a little way back. He gave a donation for the Gita. Said he wants to give more, actually. He's a really nice man. Very interested in Krishna consciousness. I think he may end up coming here for our programs right next door. I took him some nice Laddu Prasadam from the Saturday devotee market. So it's time to finish up. Thank you all for your association. and presence and listening. We will take, if there are any other questions or comments, then we will extend a few minutes. If anyone wants to stay longer, please do. Anything, any questions or comments further? Overall, I really appreciate your participation. I've got two channels going, the Zoom and the Restream. And we'll go back and forth to see if there's anything else. Otherwise, we'll finish. Jai. Thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavad-gita Ki Jai. Let us now offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone, who are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. Hari Bol.